Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome for one of the most quintessential British national tracks that is Oulton Park for part 2 of Super Sunday here on Apex Racing TV. First off, we had the Formula Fords, and if you didn't catch it, we're on a title-deciding victory that came down to 0.003 seconds. Yes, that's right, 3,000ths of a second. And that's the turn of the Ford spec racers, the SRFs. It's going to be fascinating to see how this one plays out, most certainly, here in the north of England. I'm Tim Cox. We've got Samuli Kumo in the virtual production trailer. As always, my partner in crime, Charles Bashal. Charles. I mean, these cars, they just work so well around this. You know, they always love a good flowing corner. And Oulton Park's just littered with them.
Yeah, I love Oulton Park. It's such a fun little circuit to drive. And yeah, and this track fits this car perfectly. So you got some, it's a nice combination, some high-speed corners. Got a couple of little kinky chicanes in there, so it's going to be a fun race to watch.
Most certainly is indeed. I'm really looking forward to this one. Final one of the season as well. It's can you believe it? 12 weeks of epic, exciting action. It's just not let up the whole time we've been here. Oh well, should we have a little look back at how things have played out throughout the season in form of the championship standings. Kicking things off with Spec 1, our top drivers, and Marco Pinero. Just run out of words to describe this guy this season. Phenomenal. Just has not put a foot wrong whatsoever. For me, it's been all about that Long Beach victory. Just destroyed everyone. No one could get remotely close. I mean, he was so far ahead, he needed a passport to be touched by any of the other drivers. Felix Samaels running in second. I mean, what could have been for Felix? I mean, he's really taken the fight to Pinero when he's been there, but it's been all or nothing. Pit stops have fallen in foul of him. Jason Green, my winner earlier on in the Formula Fords, can't win the championship here, but does come into the final round timed with Evandro Dantas and Overstreet. She's fifth, then Andalo, Vestuzil, Vlever, Jacobsen, and Arenda's going to run out your top 10 there into Spec 2, and he's a little bit more interesting here. Alan McCain leading the way. He's won the championship, basically. Things are tied up. However, this is what's happening behind him. Philip Berry and Paul Jackson, that best of the rest title. Who's going to claim that one? Remains to be seen. Or can Gary Walbolt just sneak in there, put the cat amongst the pigeons and disrupt him and get himself up into second? You never quite know. Ian Gibson, he's fifth. Then it's you Simpkins, Pocock, Viglini, Montgomery, and Joshua Justice to round out that top 10. Into Masters. Wow. Masters, Kurt Nunes has been the master of Masters for so much of the season, but that gap has been shrinking as the season has gone on. It will take something big. Could he lose it to Chris Murakami? The driver is just really, since dominating this class has sort of fallen by the wayside. In fact, truth be told, it's more that everyone has brought the fight to Murakami in the final of race, coming into his epic race form, where he's always struggled with that, always electric in qualifying. Remember when he put it on the front row at Daytona about 6 seasons ago. Kurt Nunes, well, as you see, leading the championship, and of course Jorg Mani, who dropped out of Spec 1, he came of age and moved across into Masters, and he's in fact lying third right now, tied on points coming into this final round with Stephen Mitchell. Bradshaw, he's fifth, there's Gradwell, Brewster, Kern, Longin, and Cathcart to round out that top 10. Now, Charles. Well, I think no surprises. Marco Panera leads, but the fact it is the best part of 4 tenths. So him and Felix Samaus, I think that tells quite a story. I mean, we've still got plenty of qualifying left. 6 odd minutes left and a bit of change, but yeah, that's a bigger margin over Samaus. These two, when they've been together, they've always been close.
Yeah, I really have. Yeah, it's the second half of the season has been almost nothing but Marco Panero and everybody else. And but we had that fueling fueling addition that didn't quite calculate out properly last week. So you never can tell, but the season's pretty much wrapped up. It's just racing for this win at the end of the season, and but the gap is what we've seen quite frequently for qualifying.
However, one thing we haven't really seen at the top end this season, he does occasionally pop in. It's Steve Elson, currently on the second row with Lynn, and in third place, the Brit. Home race, really, really going through here. I know it's a track that he does absolutely love. You saying about the fueling issue, of course, last week, Brands Hatch on the Indy layout, wow, that was wild, to say the least.
It was.
That was the second week in a row, because also the week prior on the Nordschleife, I mean, chalk and cheese in track length, 138 corners down to, well, less than 8. Or however many it is around the Nordschleife, always escapes me. But, yeah, Panero ran it close and was losing a lot of time, then as well. I mean, he lost, I think, about nearest down about something like about 8-second lead at the Nordschleife. Last week, I think it was about 8 seconds again that he lost, where he just got the fueling wrong. I mean, is he going to do it again tonight and play that bit safe?
I mean, it's really, like I said, it's about race win at this point. I think he's pretty much got this championship sewn up. So it's just a matter of, do I want to go out and just play it safe and cruise around for the last race, or do I want to go out and get the final victory to kind of put a stamp on the championship? I guess we'll find out and see here in about 45 minutes.
It's Thomas Renders. Of course, ran well earlier on in the Formula Ford, so hoping for a bit of a better run here. Has picked up a third place earlier. Work cut out, currently qualifying in 10th at the moment. As there is Ian Gibson, he's down in 27th, just coming past Panero, although can make up a lot of time because 1/10 separates himself and Jesus Rodriguez, who's some 4 places in front of him. Only marginal improvement from the Brit. We'll see him leap up 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 places. If he absolutely puts a barnstormer in, can find about half a second, he could be up there with Perkins, who's currently in 21st. So he crosses the line though. Well, it goes much, much slower, but I think that is his outlap, so that would explain why. There's Jason Perry. Oh, that's a good lap from him. Elevating himself up from, I think it was 11th previously, all the way up into 5th. Although, let's curse the commentator and see he takes the alternative rallycross line.
Yep, that is not the most optimal line.
It's
there.
not, is it? It's definitely not. Scenic, yes. One way to induce a headache if it's in real life, yes. Fastest, definitely not. And a tricky corner that. Of course, we are running the full layout here tonight. So, I mean, always a bit treacherous, especially that kink, Island Bend, coming down into shallow oils. What, turn 5, isn't it? Yeah, officially. Although some of my classes turn 4. One person gets it wrong, and they come through like a bowling ball, don't they? If you're, especially at the start of the race, everyone's nose to tail, going through shallow oils. If someone just in the back or the midfield gets a bit wrong, they will just skittle everyone's in front of them because there's no grip on that grass whatsoever. This is the part of the track I just talked about as Viglini heads through it. Yeah, I mean, there's tyre barriers to carry off most of it, but if you just miss that, wow, you will do some damage.
Oh, indeed. Yeah, it's Island Bend is one of those that you just it's similar to the kink at Road America, right? You just have to get it. You have to just get it right. If you're off, too slow where you get the inside curb, or too fast and you take too much speed through there, you're in the grass, and once again, as we say, you get in the grass in iRacing and you become a passenger, not a driver. So then you got, am I going to hit the wall and destroy my car, or am I missing the wall and destroying lots of cars? And that's what we're going to see if it happens today.
So Viglini just coming around to complete his lap, having through Druids, this tight double right-hander here. Always a little bit treacherous through there. Never than the corners, Charles, isn't it? There. Only one line, but I say one line, I'm sure these guys will find a way to make it 2, maybe even 3 wide through there. You never quite know.
Sure.
But as you say, it's just getting that perfect line. Otherwise, you can make it horrifically wrong either. Yeah, you don't make the second corner of Druids, or you end up running a bit wide, catching the grass on the outside on corner exit, which then cannons you across. And that part of the track, there's a bridge there, and it narrows up dramatically, and then you just get thrown straight back into the middle of the track, and all hell breaks loose, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I've seen that in much faster cars than what we're running today, where you get it wrong, you're a little too quick through there, you get on the left side grass, or the left side curb, and next thing you know, you've transported yourself across the track in front of traffic, bouncing off the right side wall, and then you're just a roadblock at that point. So yeah, there's several corners like that. I think that's what makes Oulton Park so fun. It's a pretty technical track, and you have to be pretty precise when you're driving around here, or you'll get yourself and other people in significant trouble.
It's one of those great circuits. It's just so good to hot lap around. It doesn't matter what the car. Lotus 79 is great around here. I'd tell you as well, an LMP2, that is great fun to hurl around here as well.
That sounds horrible.
It does sound horrific. It does sound horrible. I genuinely battle for it. One of the most fun I've ever had. Oh, well, there you go.
Yep, exactly what I was saying.
That's Overstreet finding oversteer on the grass on the outside there, and just showcasing exactly what I was explaining earlier. There's some mouse coming across the line. Can he compress that gap on his final lap? Well, he goes quicker, but it's nowhere near good enough. He shrinks the gap from about 4 tenths down to 2 tenths. Over Panera, still remains in second. That's looking good for him to hold that front row place with the Italian. Wow, still out on track. Dantas still to complete his lap. So is Smith, who's also in this group here. Jason Green, he's about to come across the line. Flavian Darlow. As Hoagie, who had an eventful race earlier on in the Formula Fields, we're looking for a bit of redemption here. 20th, I think he got across the line after the checker flag came out. So, for Vini just jumping a place above Jeff Jacobson there up into 25th. Lynn, I mean, what a last round that he had. He was just on fire, wasn't it? In some ways, gutting he couldn't qualify much higher up the grid, but even so, I mean, bit of luck from Panera running out of fuel, but even so, he was just a perennial hot knife through butter, wasn't he?
Indeed. And the best thing about this track is it's free. So if you're new to iRacing, you get this track for free. It's a really good, like I said, it's a really technical track. If you want to learn how a race car handles, bring your car here, drive the circuit, and you'll pick up quite a bit of knowledge from driving this course.
Dantas just put it into third there, second row of the grid. I've got a big good for Steve Elson dropping down to the third row, even so this is still a season's best 5th qualification for him. So there is Anderson Hoagie, and yeah, I mean, also this car being free as well. A really good, strong 3-car track combo, if there ever was one. Well, let's have a look. So Bertoni and Horniak have not put lap times in, but, well, Bertoni never ever does, ensures he doesn't. Starts from the back, comes through the field. We've got 40 runners and riders here for you today, so it'll be interesting to see how many places he makes up as. There we go. We're into the end of qualifying. We now take you through the grid as we transition across into the race session. There we go. Marco Panero on pole once again, joined by Felix Samals with him on the front row. Evandro Dantas, he starts on row 2 with Lynn, winner from last time out at Brands Hatch. Steve Elson, he's got fellow Brit Jason Perry for company. Top qualifying for those two for this season on the third row. Yogmani, he's got Mayer for company on row 4. Row 5, round out the top 10, it's Overstreet and Smith. Jason Green, he's got Renders for company on the row 6, with row 7 being made up from Flavio Andalo and Bobby West. Hugh Simpkins, he's got our leader in Masters, Kurt Nunes, with him on row 8, row 9. Our leader in Spec 2, Alan McCain, he's joined by Chris Montgomery with row 10, and the top 20 being rounded out by Kenneth Pocock and Aizen Hoagie. Jesus Rodriguez, he's with Phil Perkins on row 11, row 12 being Bradshaw and Brewster. Then we've got Favini and Jackson behind them. Row 14 is Nelson and Vaccaro. Row 15, Ian Gibson and Brad Cathcart to run out our top 30. There's Gianni Longin and Jeff Wibker, Gary Walbolt and Paul Jackson with Phil Berry. He's got Stephen Mitchell next to him on row 18. Row 19 will be that'll be Michelle Vaglini and Bob Kern. For row 20, in the penultimate row, not saying lap times, it's Andres Bertoni and Jeff Horniak. Right. This car is lined up behind the Porsche 911 Safeguard. Quick mention to our sponsor for the series. It's, of course, RaceVoice. Long-time sponsor as well. Great to always have them on board, and we keep coming back for more and more. Well, who can be surprised with the great action we have on track? And if you want to go faster on track, they have voice notifications and alerts for upshift, downshift, over rev alerts, corner entry, exit speed, and much, much more. You can go faster with the power of voice. Make sure you check them out. That's RaceVoice. Also, then we've got Apex Racing Academy with tracks, setups and track guides. I'll get my words out eventually. Still tongue-tied from the earlier race a little bit. They've also got, videos, drivers coaching sessions, whether it be group or one-on-one. You can go faster out on track and have a much greater time and be far more consistent. Make sure you check them out. It's Apex Racing Academy. Bit of a shot. Road America, the Formula 4s, we had the full lap. We come here and we have the shorter lap. We start along the back straight. Explain.
UK versus America. I think that's the best.
Answers on a postcard. Well, yeah. That's probably true. It's us Brits cutting corners again. Anyway, on that bombshell, let's get ready to go racing for the final time this season in the SRF Weekend Warriors, as we are green and we are racing. And Marnie in the background there, he's already up a couple of places into 7th. Vandalo making progress, but it's all about this battle for second as Samels just having to shut off the advances of Dantas there, who's looking really, really racy. Panero, once again, an electric start from him. As you see, Elson just coming under, pressurizing Lynn. Looking to sweep around the outside and looking, none of the drivers looking incredibly racy as he looks left, looks right. Just look in the background. I think the whole field's gone away, all 40 cars, as they're just exiting or coming into Cascade. Some of them is up ahead. They're into Island Bend. They're down into Shallow Oils. We spoke about this being in a treacherous part of the circuit. If everyone gets it right, we'll be okay. But it's all about that entrance in, as there is Simpkins. He's still remaining down in 15th, second in class behind Smith. McCain, he's made up one place, but your biggest climber so far, I told you to watch out for it. It's Andreas Bertoni, already up 7 places. We haven't even done half a lap of the Uruguayan. Oh no, well, there you go, there's the curse of the commentator.
That was quick.
Yeah, and he's into the pits, there you go. Well, up all or nothing, as always. Andreas Bertoni up 7, down to back to where he started, and there's Charlie Vaccaro. Ooh, I think he missed the start because he's only just getting out, and he'd qualified in the midfield as well, so he's worked it out well off the back of the pack. In fact, he's Three quarters of well, nearly a whole lap, to be fair. In almost, it's good 3 quarters, and also he's even might even put him a lap down. But meanwhile, back up the front, Marco Panero's lead that he eked out early on, it's evaporated, hasn't it? Look at Simels, and he's bringing. Well, he's brought along with him everyone all the way down to and including Jeff Jacobson in 26th.
Yeah, it's just a train at this point. I think there's a lot of little. I mean, it's not like there's long straights here where you can do a lot of drafting, but there's enough shorter straights where you can just kind of keep hooked onto the back of the car in front that you get a little assistance from them. And so far, nobody's really set a lap that's going to extend that gap. Although I see the top two looks like they're starting to stretch it just a bit. Maybe Dantas maybe had a bad corner that's kind of backed that little section of the train up.
I actually said you made exactly the same noise as I was just about to make exactly the same noise. That was incredibly close, but these guys know exactly what they're doing. It's why they're able to follow so closely. I mean, 2 attempts at the moment, and that's a massive gap between those two compared to what they see just into Shell Oils there. Drop down to about as close to 10th, and just see it's a bit of a gap starting to open up right now between Oulton and Perry, as Perry's dropped to about a second behind. That's the first time we've had a bit of a lock-up. Oh no! Well, okay, everyone got away with that one, but that's going to be a big slowdown there for Perry. Yeah. Yep. That's all. Well, that's how many places. And this is the trouble, isn't it, with these big grid races and everyone being so consistent and so close to one another that you make one mistake like that at the opening stages, and that's it. 7 places, 8 places, he's down, 9, 10. When Simpkins comes past him, although it looks like he's back up speed pretty much, but Simpkins onto the grass, and they're pretty wide, and they just about make it through. McCain splits them between the middle. Well, and in the end, Jason Perry loses 11 places, and that's Kurt Nunes just headed through.
He's still off the pace. I'm not sure what's going on.
I think he's still trying to bleed it off a little bit, because there was when he came out of Lodge Corner and into Dearly, there was a bit of a stamp on the brakes, almost trying to it's like when you bleed off that last bit of a slowdown, you just sort of try and jam the brakes just out of frustration. At least I do anyway, just to try and get rid of it.
Yeah, these slowdowns are so hard, so difficult. I mean, it feels like a 1 second slowdown feels like you're losing 7 seconds on the track. It's very difficult to get them cleared sometimes.
Well, what was a top? What were we about? 18, 26, something like that. Well, it's scaled down a little bit. It's tough times experiencing in the real world right now, and well, they're down to just 4 at the top, and that's Jesus Rodriguez and Spaniard. Where's that? That's a Shell Oils, isn't it?
I believe it is. Yep. Definitely looks like that. Camber core.
And because of that, how many has he lost from there, Charles? How many has he just lost? I'm just trying to spot where is he in my list? But he's lost. 8. Yeah, well spotted, yeah. And last in class, well, technically not quite last because Patani is lost, but that's due to his retirement earlier on. And Steve Elson now leading the best of the rest. That top group 2.4 seconds already. The margin they've managed to open up, and Elson under a lot of pressure from Marnie right now.
Yeah, he really is. Marty, obviously, we know he's quick at every track he goes to, so it's no surprise to see him up there at the front of the field battling for the high spots. I did see that Lynn looks like he's trying to skip from that second group back up to that first group and make it a three-way battle in front. So it'll be interesting to watch. Dantas is still trying to hang on as well in P4.
Yeah, Dantas just dropping off a little bit of the pace, isn't he? He's like, half a second behind Lynn. Lynn's then, about 7/10 behind Samals, who's, right onto the tail of Panero right now. So, just seeing that it's Nunes up the inside. Oh. Lovely little move into Cascades.
Absolutely. There it is.
Job's done.
Yep.
The good thing for Lynn is it's brought him right back into it. And I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think how many races it's been since Marco Panero has been passed. He led every lap last week, just.
I think Samels actually did pass him last week.
No, sorry, I'm thinking I've got the Nordschleife in my head. Sorry, Charles, that was 2 weeks ago. Yes, he did pass him last week, didn't he? Before it all went horribly wrong, just like it's just gone for Alan McCain there. That's coming. Oh, Brad Kafka. I bet he's hit the tire wall there.
I definitely think he has. It definitely looked like he caught the tire wall. Just misjudged the entry of that chicane. These chicanes this is the most difficult version of this circuit. These 2 chicanes are extremely tricky to get right.
Okay, right on board with Brad Kafka. Let's see what's happened to the man from down under. So you're going to enter into Britain's chicane now. Oh, caught the grass on the way in. Oh,
managed to get both of the tire barriers.
But luckily, due to the skimming action, and I don't know about your end, but his bonnet disappeared, and then magically from the netcode giveth, netcode taketh. And I know the Australian, New Zealand guys really struggle with netcode quite often, but normally it ends up killing them. However, today it was fully on their side.
It definitely was.
He's instantly having his bonnet replaced as Addison Hoagie there. He's up 3 places so far. It's Jason Perry just in front of him in the 97 machine. These guys start to just drop off the back of Nunes and Simpkins, who are just ahead of them. So that's a bit of a wide line there from Montgomery. I think he's going to pay for that one too, in the form of Pocock and potentially even Perkins making their way through.
Taking it too wide through here. No, I think that was smart to just kind of back out and just kind of go single file through islands.
But that's the thing, depending on your line through there and the car in front of you, what line they've taken, quite often you can just back out of it and make it single file. You can then get them in a bit of a lunge into Shallows, can't you, and have another go at them.
Yeah, you really can.
I can't think of another corner like that. I'm really struggling.
Yeah, I'll have to think about it that one. But yeah, I go ahead.
Lacombe and Malmedy at Spa? Maybe even not. I wouldn't even necessarily say that, actually. That's on a postcard. We'll come back to you on that one. That's going to puzzle me for a little while now. And if I have a random outburst in the middle of the race, you'll know why.
There we go. So, no, as we saw earlier with some miles, that you see some of the drivers getting a good run through Island and then really taking it deep on the brakes into shell oil because they're using that camber on the quarter to kind of launch them around. And so it's really interesting to see the gaps, how they'll shrink up when you get a really good, confident driver on the brakes that knows the limits of how far they can push it, how much time they can make up in braking zones.
Ooh, wow, this is going to be close. Marnie seeking the opportunity against Elson there, trying to slip it through, but Elson holds on around the outside and holds on to the best of the rest fit position for now. But you feel like, I mean, they're all queuing up to have a go, aren't they? Right behind, Smith could lose a place to Mayer. He takes that compromise exit. Overstreet seizes the opportunity where Mayer had to back out of it and nearly slipped her way through. Meanwhile, she needs to be careful because Renders is on her heels. Then Jason Green, and well, we know the relationship between Green and Overstreet. If you caught the earlier race in the Formula Ford, it's incredibly close between those two, to say the least. Caleb Pocock's had a bit of an issue. I think that was him in the cloud of smoke. Yes, it was.
It was.
I predict grass on the outside of Shell Oils, and it sent him round. I only know that from experience. Okay. Looks good so far. Bit of a shallow line on the inside, trying to wind it up. There you go.
Yeah, much.
Just the grass. Back across the curve.
Missed the wall, which was good.
He did, yes. So at least that was something. Meanwhile, live pictures. Lynn, you don't tend to make a move around the outside. Then there's contact. Panera goes wide out onto the grass and cuts the daisies. But meanwhile, Samal says, thank you very much. And so does Dantas. He's going to storm his way through, carrying all the momentum, all the speed into second. Wow.
Well, I mean, we saw that brilliant move with Lynn last week coming out of turn 1 at Brands. And so he's feeling really confident in the car here the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's another one of these drivers that seems to have just moved up a bit of a level or two. I mean, I say that, making out like he's a slower to midfield driver. Lynn is certainly not one of those for definite. Made it into the top split, the broadcast splits in the Nürburgring 24 hours on iRacing, a few weeks ago. So definitely not a slow driver whatsoever. So did another one of our runners and riders, although sadly has retired already this evening. That was Andreas Bertoni. I saw him in there. Great to see some of the guys from the Weekend Warriors getting on to the top split in the N24. That's Perkin. How's he managed that one, Charles?
Is that Corby? That's my guess. That's my guess.
Okay, I'm going to say too much speed. Well, it could be a combination of all the above, really, couldn't it?
It could be. Too much speed. Just looped it.
Well, that was very close to being a much bigger accident.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of lucky you just got drifted up the track a bit. It left the inside open for the cars to come through.
Now, luckily, these cars aren't quite as low to ground as what some of the Formula cars are, because you can, due to that banking in shallow oils, you can get the car beached. I know this from experience. Overstreet is through the order, and
oh no, is that the same thing that we saw in qualifying? Is that the same thing that happened to her again? Seems like it's a little further down the track, but
nearly having a collision there with Montgomery as he came flying through. Well, that's good because she was looking incredibly racy in that group with Mayer, Green, Smith, etc.
Let's see the replay here.
I know Megan, she was probably trying to make an overtake and it all went horribly wrong. No, just lost the rear. Lost the rear. It's a surprise.
I think that's too heavy on the brakes. Maybe that's just she was too heavy on the brakes and kind of threw the balance of the car off and left the rear really light as she was trying to make that corner.
Oh, no. That's Steve Elson.
Yep, Steve Elson.
Oh, no. He was running in fifth, the best of the rest spot. So clearly feeling a bit sorry for Megan and moving down the field to join her. Also, Jesus Rodriguez, who had that spin earlier on, he's climbed his way back up into 20th because he had dropped, it was 8 positions, you said at the time, Charles, he'd lost?
It was. Yeah, he's up 1 now. He's done a great job. Uh-oh. I saw another car off back there.
Thomas Renders, maybe? That's a bit of a surprise. Our producer Samuri just saying he's cut the chicane. So has he bled off that slowdown? I'd say by the speed he's carrying through Druids that he has. He's just let it just go. Right, I'll sit here quick and then go.
Yeah, so I think that group that we saw, it looks like all those drivers are starting to have a few issues here and there.
41 there, just serving. Well, Simon Mayer's into the pits. I mean, we're already quarter of an hour through. Thinking, what's he doing in this early? I mean, it's still early, but
yeah, maybe an undercut. I think it's about that time where you would see a couple of takers for the undercut to see if they can make that work.
Jesus Rodriguez is clearly a clue to you, Charles, and so do Caleb Pocock. They're both in too. So where is Mom? I mean, it's not a bad shout, is it? Well, the field is still, relatively condensed.
Yeah.
So this is the battle for 10th. Addison Hoagie, he's on a flyer, isn't he? Look, he's up 10 places. That's the new Simpkins he's just made his way past. Yorkmani, the next car on the track, but he's some 3 seconds up the road. So, I mean, maybe it's a wide choice, really, because, well, the field's still condensed. Get yourself in a pocket, off you go, set some cracking lap times, and make up the time that way, because it's a weird track, this, isn't it? It's easy to overtake, but then it's incredibly hard in other ways, and a lot of it comes down to mistakes, just like Hoagie's made there, and this is where you gain and you lose the places, as Perry Renders all trying to squeeze their way through, and, well, that's going to be close, and just losing out as Simpkins. Oh, it's Hoagie, wow. Okay. That's going to be another slow... Well, it's another one bites the dust and another slowdown, isn't it?
It really is. That's a part of the track that I wasn't expecting to see 3 wide, and because it doesn't look like it could support it, but they were sure trying it.
It doesn't look like it can.
Yeah.
It can't. It can't. I mean, having said that, like you say, you nailed it on the head. It doesn't stop these guys giving it a go.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Just not stop them.
Yeah. I mean, if there's a way to make it work, they'll figure it out.
So there's Smith into the pit lane of RD Sim Sport. And the interesting one, so he'll come out behind Simon Mayer definitely. So how far he comes out behind Mayer, that's going to be the interesting one, see how that one plans out. They're taking a lot of fuel. Now, Overstreet's gone light on fuel, 11.7 seconds in contrast to Smith, who's just coming out. Mayer has gone light on fuel, 11.7 seconds comparison to Smith, who's just come out and that was a lap later, has put nearest damn it, been stationary for 14 seconds. So that's a big disparity, isn't it, Charles? And is that enough to get Mayer home? I mean, I suppose while he's picking up the field, he can slipstream with them and save a bit of fuel that way. Maybe that's his strategy. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm going with the fact that these cars are. I think they start with the same fuel level, and we normally see 11-second fueling stops work most of the tracks we're at. I think it's when you get down in that sub 10, 9, and sometimes 8-second range that's where we start seeing people, running out of fuel. I think he's probably okay at 11.6. But, I guess once again, we won't know until the end of it. But
we'll find out in 22 minutes' time, won't we? Whether it's worked out, at least been inspired, or it's been an absolute disaster and not the right call from Mayer whatsoever. And Darling just leading what is now the best of the rest group. Green behind him, then West. Great to see Bobby West back up in the sharp end. So it's been away from it a little while now. We haven't seen him too many times this season, have we?
Dantas Landalo also having really good runs, which they've had in the past, but seems like that's a little bit of a, I won't say an improvement, but I think that's somewhere they've been before, and it's good to see them back up there again. I did notice that it's because of the fighting with Pinero, Lynn, Dantas earlier after Samals had taken the lead. That's kind of given Samals it's given them a 2-second gap up. So now Pinero is in the process of playing chase, trying to make that gap back up.
Well, he's given it a good go, isn't he? Last time around, he was a tenth quicker than Samals. Lynn as well is struggling at this stage of the race. 8 tenths slower last time around, Charles, alone. And stripping out the slipstream range, it's just the stage of the race is not really coming towards Lynn. It's certainly not. It's moving away from him, if anything. And then Dantas, who's fourth, was last time around a 4 tenths slower than Lynn. So 1.3 seconds slower than our top two, and that's why he's really dropping off the back of Lynn as well. It's surprising really, because these four, you can throw a blanket over them for the first part of the race.
Yeah, it was really tight at the beginning, but I think that now that they've kind of settled a bit, and you've got a little bit of breathing room to run your line, you're starting to see the true pace of these drivers really stand out.
Dantas, really, it's going to be a tough day at the office. It's good. The only way I can bring this lot back together is maybe through a bit of creative pit strategy, although that's Montgomery. It's all gone wrong for. That's what's down just before Deer Leap, isn't it? Old Hall.
Yeah, just...
Sorry, Lodge Corner. I always get Old Hall and Lodge mixed up in terms of corner names. It throws me every single time. Yeah, it's down at Lodge, and that's going to give him more places that he's going to lose. Woodcut, and that was one Simon Mayer heading through.
He's starting to work his way up through the field a bit.
I was thinking that as well, Charles. He's picking them off bit by bit, and here we go. There's another one going to be picked off, I do believe, in the form of Woodcut.
Yep, nice easy pass through there.
I got a little bit worried. My heart leapt into my mouth because Jeff Woodcock got incredibly close and far too close to a commentator's comfort to the grass on the outside. And as soon as you dump a little tiny piece of the wheel onto it, that's it. It's death.
Yeah, it is. It's very difficult out there. Which is why they put the tire barrier there, right?
Yes.
Is to stop you from just wreaking havoc as much as they can for the rest of the field.
Doesn't stop them though.
No, it doesn't.
As like a light testament to of receiving and giving said treatment. Hoagie, is that? Oh, he's leapt to the pits. Yeah, he's jumped to the pits. I think he's had a bit of an incident here, Charles.
Let's see what we got here.
Well, he's not appearing like he's come off track. So he's like he's just gone.
Oh. He felt like he was losing the car and then overcorrected, and so yep, just a toe back. Or at least that's the way it looked to me. But I'm going to say this, and we'll leave the specific 24-hour race that occurred yesterday unnamed. But I know that in one of the teams that I work with, Addison Hoagie was in that split, so he's probably a little tired today, just to be fair.
We'll let him off on that one then.
Yeah,
we'll let him off. As you see, it's coming under a bit of pressure from Perry there, because Perry had that earlier incident. So did Elson, who's right behind them. Saw them descend down through the field. Simon Mayer, still top of the pitted drivers that have pitted so far. He's pitted off obviously Woodcock that we saw, and also Longin in quick succession, now up into 19th overall. And Perkins is 1.6 seconds down the road for him. We're sticking with this battle right now between we've got Renders, Simpkins, Perry, Elson, and Kurt Nunes thrown in there for good measure too. It's all about just finding your groove this part of the race, isn't it? I mean, you're going to have more and more people. We're in proper pit window territory, aren't we? This 23-minute mark. Over the course of the next sort of 10 minutes or so, we'll have everyone will have visited. As Vaccaro has come in again, that's for his second, technically his second stop, although he started from the pits, so actually it's his first stop.
This is just one of those mid part of the race where everybody's just trying to run theirs and find some space. Looks like everybody's stretched out, not really a lot of battles on track. And so I did, we were talking about that, I was looking at the timing scoring. We did have one car that I think took a flyer as far as fuel. That's Michael G. Nelson, one of the Masters drivers, with an 8.1 second fuel stop.
Wow. That is incredibly short. And has he underfueled the car, or actually does he know something and he's got this down to a T?
Yeah, that's the $64,000 question at this point.
Now, the based on the pit stop times of everyone else, I would say he's underfueled that car massively. Because Perkins, he's just come in, he's put about 11 seconds of fuel in the car. Favini, who's just behind him, he put in 10 seconds, which even seems a bit short in some ways, but 8.17 seconds. I think we might be seeing Nelson in the pits again. Could be wrong, though, towards the end of the race. There's Mayer now up into 18th place, leading that well. But also, Charles, I mean, were you about to say, I've been looking at the time screen. I thought you were going to allude to how Panero was 8 tenths behind Semels. And now that gap is down to a quarter of a second.
Yeah, that's just goes to show you how fast Panero's been lately. When we started, we talked about this a minute ago. Oh, Panero, Semels in the pits. I'm sorry.
Wow. That just completely denied of our battle that was going to ensue there and how that one was going to play out. Now, obviously, Panero was saving fuel when he dropped into second. However, with that contact with Lynn, that meant they lost all that time. So he was able to fuel save. So, I mean, Semels could well have been fuel saving himself because he had that gap. So he could play, that's the beauty when you got, a decent lead like that. You can adjust your strategy and do what you want realistically.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And I think that was actually pretty smart. He knew that was going to end up being a battle with Panero because he'd made up that 2-second gap. Either by just raw pace or by Semels lifting and trying to fuel save. So I think that was a good call to just go ahead and jump in the pits now. Go ahead and take the service and come back out. maybe use the draft of other cars and work his way up to gain some time back.
So I tell you, this battle has really closed up, hasn't it? It's no, sorry, apologies. I thought it hadn't, because Bobby West actually is 6.7 seconds down the road. We've got Renders, Simpkins, Elson, Kurt Nunes not far off the back of this one too.
Yeah, we got a couple of 4-car packs here. We've got the pack starting with green, and then we've got this pack starting with Renders. And so they're just, so they're just battles amongst themselves at this point.
I tell you what, though, Simpkins is really looking strong for that win in Spec 2, isn't it? So 9th overall.
Yeah, he's got a big gap at this point.
Right, Gibson is second in class. He's up 12 positions. Lynn is in now. Now, this is going to be interesting because Samels has put some stationary for 13 3/4 seconds, which is on the heavy side. However, with his short fueling situation, of course, 2 weeks ago at the Nürburgring, probably still ringing in his ears a little bit. Maybe he's gone conservative. Lynn is the interesting one. There's York just dipping into the pit. So, well, here goes Renders, Simpkins, Elson, Nunes.
Yeah, that whole group just came in together.
No messing whatsoever. Now, where is Lynn? Where is Samels? Just waiting for that to equalise out. 1.7 seconds is the gap, so Lynn has definitely closed that one up.
He has, yeah. It definitely was a 2.5 second shorter pit stop. So that did help him out quite a bit. But he is still trailing Samels by 1.8.
But back into the equation, I mean, it's what Panera has been able to do with, obviously, the shackles taken off him, where Samels came into the pits. I'm not sure whether it's going to be enough, though. Or is it? I mean, it's so hard to say. I mean, Lynn's made that up in the pit stops, so 2.4 seconds less time stationary. Panero, knowing how he likes to short fuel, I would say this one could well be in the bag for him. So last time around, he was what? Let's have a look in comparison to Lynn. I mean, about, what's that, 2 seconds faster was Panero. 2 seconds.
Perkins off again.
If you keep going that way, there is a jump you can take that takes you across the back straight.
I have done that jump.
Not
I didn't realize that jump was there, but I have taken that jump.
I discovered it through high caliber of racing, like myself.
Yes,
that's it. That's the only reason why I can get away with saying this. Panero into the pits, Dantas into, and Darlow says, "No, I'm carrying on by myself." Green and West, they've popped in as well. So Panero, how long was he stationary for? 11.3 seconds, so just a fraction longer than Lynn, only by about 0.04 of a second. However, this was comfortably going to be, well, say comfortably, not quite as comfortable as what I thought. That gap's going to be at 1.8 seconds, isn't it? 1.9 seconds, I think.
I think that's right. Yep.
Now, we know that Samels can just go hell for leather. He does not need to fuel save one little bit. Does Panero, though? I would say probably not, looking at what everyone else's pit stops were around the time that he pitted.
Yeah, I think what we'll see, I don't know, we may see a couple other cars come in before him that may indicate that he's going to have a problem. But, as we saw at Nürburgring, he knows how to fuel save if necessary. Even out by himself with a big gap, he was able to allow the cars to come and catch him, but still was able to have enough fuel to make it across the line in first place.
So that's Jeff Woodcock into currently hitting the pits as Nelson coming in. Simon Mayer stopped all the way back on lap 8. We're on lap 17 right now. There he is. He's up place overall from where he started 8th. He's up into 7th. That's a decent recovery from him, because he dropped down a few places, hadn't he, at the start of the race. So that's not a bad result, as he's now only 6/10 behind. That's Jason Green in front of him. He's up an incredible 5. The only driver not to stop, but he's just coming in. There he is. Right, okay, here's Flavio Darlow, the Brazilian. He comes, the last stopper, and leaving a little bit late, maybe. Now, where will he come out? Well, he's going to come out into... It's not looking good for him in this, is it? Not looking good at all. Definitely into a comfortable... Actually, no, apologies. It's not. I'm thinking of Dantas, aren't I? I've got my Brazilian SRF Weekend Warrior drivers mixed up here. So, actually, yes, he's going to come back into the battle that he was pretty much involved in previously. So, looks like right in between Western and... Western Marnie.
Yeah, I want to say that probably was probably lost him a little bit of time.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
Well, there you go. That's all your hard work undone. How to do it on the second corner out the... Well, technically the first corner out the pits. Oh, no.
Flavio. And we didn't talk about the pit entry and exit because that always seems to be a topic on some of these tracks. I think the pit entry is a little more difficult here than because it's not really straight, is it?
No.
But the pit exit seems to be is after the apex of the first corner, so it seems like it's a pretty easy transition back out.
As pit exits go, it's pretty safe as pit exits go, let's face it. No, that will be Jason Perry around, and Kurt Nunes as well. Was, I think, caught up in that. He was involved in a big lockup. Maybe just trying to take evasive action around Perry. It's down into Britain's chicane. Just too speed in.
Yep. Oh, and then the curb.
Well, Nunes nowhere to go whatsoever, had he?
No.
Nowhere to go. The only trouble with the pit lane here is having that very first pit box, because it is a nightmare to get into.
I've missed it before. This is one of the places I have missed that early pit box. So yeah, it is. Especially like I said, it's not really a straight entry as we see Simpkins. Oh, almost had that.
Nearly, didn't he? Well, that's a shame because he was running very, very strongly. Looking on for, he was leading in class, in fact, and that's actually cost him it because Christopher Smith has taken that one up into. No apologies, he's still leading class. Of course, I've got an older project where Smith is now he's in Spec 2, so well spotted.
Yeah, but it is closed the gap back to McCain, who's also had an issue earlier in the race. So it has tightened that. He's not quite as comfortable as it was earlier. No,
it's definitely not as comfortable as what it definitely was beforehand. So as we're on to lap 19, 34 minutes complete out the 40. All the pit stops done. Pedera leads from Samaus. Lynn in third. Masters, Marnie's leading that in 8th overall. Then it's Nunes and Brewster 13th and 19th overall. As for Spec 2, Simpkins, as we just mentioned, he's leading in 15th with McCain and Caleb Pocock onto the podium in Spec 2. Hello. Welcome along, Caleb.
Yeah, very nice.
He's 24th. Oh, that's Gary Walbolt around. Wow. Maybe he's taking the Foster's line. Oh, it's all gone from bad to worse for still. Oh, no! That's Panero.
Oh.
Ooh. Well, I can't. It's not as... What's he been done for? Stop and go? No, because it's a drive-through, isn't it? For incident points. I don't know. There's no damage to the car. He got enough fuel, and he's just coming and he's staying there. He's not taking tyres.
That's interesting.
He's taken.
The only thing I can think of is he underfueled and then realized it and didn't reset his levels, because obviously he didn't need another 16-second stop. If anything, it would have been basically a splash and dash. I was going to say earlier that Samaus actually was making up that gap. It had dropped from, was it 1.9 after the pit stops down to 1.2. So he was closing that gap, and maybe it was maybe it was Panero trying to fuel save a bit and then realizing that he wasn't going to be able to do it. If that's the case, we may see several other cars back in the pits before this is over.
Well, I was about to say that, Charles, because I mean, yes, he had one of the shorter stops. However, it wasn't the shortest by any stretch of the imagination. And I say, if that's the case, and he's not going to make it, how many other drivers are not going to make it?
Yes.
Quite a few.
I think so.
This could well be one of them in the form of Overstreet. You see the weather details on the right-hand side. So, a bit of a warmer track here today, 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That is in proper measurements.
38.
Yeah, about 38 degrees Celsius. So definitely on the warmer side. Certainly, I can tell you, it's definitely not 38 degrees here at the moment. Definitely not. Not a chance. Ambient being 23, that's probably about right for here in the UK, for those of you are currently residing outside of the home of motor racing. This could be argued. It's controversial, I know, but there we go. Yeah, so I mean those track temperatures definitely going to be playing a little bit of a factor in some ways. Surprising we haven't seen many more sort of spin through from those high track temperatures. There's McCain just getting past Jim Brewster.
Yeah, you know, anytime the track temp is up in that area, you're gonna obviously have reduced grip. Makes the car easier to lose. I think we've seen that a little bit today with, you know, just minor misses on corners, which of course obviously gets exacerbated by, you know, iRacing's grass, and the inability for you to control your car once you get over there. So yeah, but we haven't had what, you know, the NASCAR term, we haven't had the big one. So it's been pretty sedate. We've had a couple of minor clashes, but nothing really major. It's been a pretty clean race all the way around.
It has, and a little bit surprised in some ways. Well, as I say that, I shouldn't be. However, it's just seeing, you know, the track temperatures, knowing what Oulton Park can be like. It's, like you say, that one tiny mistake and it all goes wrong. I'm saying about the grass as. Check. Yeah, sorry. White flag out? Yes. Yeah, it is. It's going to be out. Felix Mount's taking white flag and off onto his final lap. You say about the grass. All I'm going to say is what happened at Sebring 12 Heart, the LMDHs, stroke GCPs. Skidded across the grass like it was iRacing style, and then it wiped out a couple of GTDs in front of them. So, you know. Those that say it's when you have an incident like that in iRacing that this never happens in real life. Well, you know, some of the top drivers in the world did make it happen.
Yeah, with, you know, cold tires that are slick, that have no tread, onto a surface that they're not designed to drive on. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that life imitates art and vice versa.
That's Elson into the pits. Well, we say about not many incidents. There you go. There's Young. He's into the wall. It's all kicking off here with a white flag out. It's almost like red rag to a ball in some ways. There's also Caleb Pocock into. Maybe there's a few splashes and dashes going on here, Charles. You called this one absolutely smack on. Yeah. To be honest, I was expecting more, but yeah, there's been a few here and there. But you know, we're coming up on the last lap. There's no telling how many are going to be chugging across the line at the end of this. Well, you say about that. For me, Kurt Nunes, that was not full commitment, full attack there through shallow oils.
It was not.
I think they could, like you say, this could be a cough and a splutter across the line, but definitely not for this guy. Felix Samar's redemption for the last two rounds. He takes your victory here for the final race of the season in the SRF Weekend Warriors from Oulton Park. Yang Lin in second, and Evandro Dantas, welcome back to the podium. He's going to pick up that crucial third place, just fending off Green and Simon Mayer. Good recovery from him to come fifth after that really early pit stop. There's your winner in Masters, Marty. Oh, that's Nunes and Brewster. That's That was a battle for P2 in the class, it looks like, and that was a really hard battle up here. As here comes your winner in Spec 2, it's you Simpkins. Dutchman across the line, going to come across in 14th place overall. McCain, having a real scrap right at the end there with Jeff Jacobson. Only 200ths of a second separating those two. In fact, McCain only 4 tenths behind Favini, so very close, just like this one, with no bonnet whatsoever. And surprise, surprise, Rooster loses out. It's almost like he's got no aerodynamics.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely not the.
It's amazing how a lack of a bonnet can affect your top speed like that in your acceleration.
It is kind of crazy.
In a race to the line. So, well, there is Jackson across line. So he's come in 28th, up to 6th places. So that's not a bad result. Highest place game. That goes to nearly Ian Gibson. It was Philip Berry's at 12. Well, seeing this though, it was Berry who smacked the chicane twice, wasn't it? Stopped all the way back in lap 6 to take his fast repair because of it, and in the end climbed 12 places and came home 23rd. That's a good result. And Gianni Longin
cruising on back around. Yeah.
I don't know whether that is lack of fuel or this car is a nightmare to keep in a straight line. Or both.
Maybe both.
Slowest you will probably see the final corner here, Oulton Park, be taken.
Short as a pace lap. I would agree with that.
Yes. As there comes Parry across the line. Wow, what a race! What a race indeed it has been. That's what Bobby West thinks of it. Donuts there down at Cascades, and a few others driving him for the traditional. Sorry, joining him even for the traditional demolition derby. Always makes me laugh how a bonnet can just disappear off and then magically instantly reappear back on in its right place.
There we go. Now more people are getting involved. Yeah, last race of the season, we don't need the car anymore at this point, right?
No, you don't. You don't. It's overrated anyway. Someone needs to do the jump, or a few of them. I should have mentioned this earlier in the broadcast to try and goad them into it. But they all still had their cars in one piece and drivable. Bit late for that one now, really. Felix and Miles takes a victory here in the final race of the season from Oulton Park. Yang Lin second. Dantas going to round out that podium after just beating off Green and Mayer. Bobby West sixth, then your winner in Masters 7th overall. Yogmani and Darlo Renders and Marco Panero in 10th. Wow. Underfueled the car. Came back in, messed it all up, lost a load of places. It all fell apart for him. Well, you can't take away from him. Your champion in Spec 1. It's been just an amazing season from him. No really two ways about it. No two ways about it. A real masterclass from him. Christopher Smith at 11th, then Jesus Rodriguez. Good recovery from him to get himself back up there. 9 places in the end. Simpkins, your winner in Spec 2, then Favini, McCain, second on the podium in Spec 2, Jacobson 16th, then Ian Gibson making his way onto the podium in Spec 2 with 17th overall. Then got Jim Brewster talking about being on the podium. He's second in Masters, 18th overall, with Chris Montgomery in 19th. And, no, sorry, it's Kurt Nunez, apologies, running at that podium. Then it's Perkins ran out top 20, then Berry, Pocock, Overstreet. Disappointing one from her, those incidents, and really costing her dearly. Then Mitchell, Cathcart, Jackson, Montgomery, Ball Bolts in 28th, and we move over so we complete out your top 30. There we go. Beautiful Jenny Longin and Bradshaw at 31st. First of the cars, 1 lap down. Then likewise was Vaccaro, Perry, Vaglini taking it to 34th. 2 lap downs was Horniak, and then Wubka 3 laps down into the retirements now. Well, we lost. I just suddenly realised we're driving the wrong way around the track here with Chris Smith for Vardy Simsport with a very damaged car. Looking forward to see how this one. A great view in the background. Lost completely track. Yes, Nelson. You retired the car back on lap 16. Of course, we completed 22 laps here. Lost Latson Hoagie on lap 12. Bob Kern on lap 11. And Andrea Spitoni on the the opening lap. Let's have a chat to some of our drivers. First up, it's your winner here today, Felix Samaus. Felix, congratulations, and I think well deserved after Brands Hatch and just the bad luck you've had of late.
Yes, thank you. I had a bit of luck today with Marco and the fueling. So yeah, but I like to think that he did a mistake because I was pushing him and made him take risks. And I mean, I was surprised when he came out of the pits and was almost 2 seconds ahead of me. Because so there was that issue in the early laps where he lost time, he and Yuan Shi. So as soon as he caught me, I stopped so to prevent him from using the draft and save some fuel. And then I was like, how is this possible? He's almost 2 seconds faster than me in the pit stop. Fair enough, he underfueled. I mean, I know, for example, Yuan Shi has a driving style. Uses longer gears, so he uses less fuel than I do. I understand that. But from Marco, from what I've seen from his driving, I was really surprised. So yeah, I just pushed the whole race as hard as I could. It was a hard race.
Definitely, but well deserved. Your victor here today, Felix Samaus. I would have from Oulton Park. Charles. Anyone? I see a few names lined up there. Anyone you fancy having a chat with? Take your pick.
Let's talk with our Masters class winner, Jorg Monty.
There you go.
Hey, Jorg. Congratulations on the Masters class victory. As far as the class was concerned, I think you were a bit quicker than the rest of the group, but you had a good battle on your hands in that 5 to 10 range during the race.
Yeah, good evening, Charles. Yes, and Samuli, and Tim, of course. Yeah, we had a nice battle, but I didn't feel well today. I was in the race before I got crashed out already, and I was not feel like to drive today, but I still did it. And my main goal was just to finish, and that was it. But it was a nice battle, and it was actually a good race.
Yeah, it was. I think it was from top to bottom. It was a really good race. It had some drama to it. Is there anybody you want to thank today?
Yeah, of course, you guys. I mentioned that already on your YouTube channel webpage. Thank you for broadcasting our races. It was a real blast to watch those races all the time. Even I see myself crashing out sometimes and spinning out. It's still fun to watch. And of course, our sponsors as well. And I hope I still remember the sponsor now, RaceVoice, I think, still. And thanks to you. A big pleasure goes to you guys. A big thanks.
Thanks, Jorg. Congratulations.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Next up, let's have a bit of a chat to your winner in Spec 2. Well, the championship, but not necessarily the race today, but still on the podium. Alan McCain joins us. Alan, welcome along. I mean, what a season. Full redemption, I think, I know you pretty much had it all wrapped up before we even arrived here today at Oulton Park, but even so, I think well deserved your champion in Spec 2.
Yeah, I was just talking about that there. It was one of them ones. I just don't know how I managed it because the amount of luck I've had this year, I think I've only won like 2 races at the most, but my rest of my time has been spent spinning and crashing out and just generally being frustrated. Hey,
sometimes it's weird how these things work out, but it works out to your advantage. Certainly it did. It did. I mean, talk about today. I mean, you seem to be enthralled in that battle with yourself. There was you, Simpkins, Andrea Fabini, all in there, in and around there. Just to sort of talk us through your race, really.
It was more the best part of my race was the last part when I caught Just and Fabini. I knew I was watching my timing screen and I had realised I was lapping quicker than they were and I was pulling them in. I think another lap I might have had maybe another one of them.
I think so. I think that, another couple more, certainly one more lap, possibly even two. I mean, definitely would have made up a place. Fascinating to see. But, well, we're running a bit short here. Well, congratulations. That's Alan McCain. You're, third overall here today on the podium in Spec 2, but you're winner of the Spec 2 Championship. Charles, just having a quick read in the YouTube chat. Marco Pinero, he was too fast when he exited the pits.
Ah, there it is. There you go.
Speeding
In the pits. Yep.
Naughty boy. We've all been there, all done it. As I'll tell you what, we'll cycle through the last couple quickly. I'll tell you what, you can have Jim Brewster. Go on.
Hey Jim. So I believe P2 in the Masters class. Congratulations.
Yeah.
We noticed a little drama with you and Kurt Nunez at the end of the race.
I guess he spun because all of a sudden I was catching him and coming up over the crest of the hill. I just tapped him and I got him swirled out. And then a hit. Well, then going into the last corner, I was damaged, and a couple guys came up behind me. Adam had they crashed like beside me and behind me and next to me, and so I had two incidents in four corners. Anyway, but it was a good day. I got a Masters win in Formula Ford earlier, and second, it was a good day for me. So, it's a fun track. It's tough. But it's challenging. It's good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, congratulations on the second place.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you for the job you guys do.
Thank you very much.
So we'll have a quick word with, surprising second maybe today for Yangji Lin. Yangji, I mean, having said that, this show, you had some really, really strong pace here today, but I mean,
yeah, pushed a little bit too hard, made a little contact with Marco, and my apology to him. Just try to race a little bit too hard.
But it's last race of the season. He'd already won the championship, so sometimes you just got to go for these things, haven't you? And
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just didn't really figure out the math before the race. I overfueled by a lap. Otherwise, I would have raced with Felix a little bit in the end. But yeah, congratulations to him.
I mean,
yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate that this league is dropping a lot of participation. I mean, I kind of went out of retirement because I think there was Gustavo Ario racing early in the season. There was David Gaspers. Now it's just back to the old regulars. Yeah, I was kind of looking for a door-to-door race today, but it ended up only lasting 7 laps.
Well, I mean, it was probably entertaining anyway. Just guessing, definitely for a lot of it, especially around the pit strategy. I mean, you've been master of that, and obviously winner last time out. So, second today. It's not been a bad end to the season. And you're gonna be back next season?
Maybe we will see. I kind of want to move forward onto some other cars as a new challenge now, but I haven't decided what to race on. But we will see. Maybe I'll drive just a few rounds as this season because I should have a lot of time as it will be my summer vacation.
Oh, wow. Hopefully, we'll look forward to seeing you. Hopefully, you'll be back. Congratulations on second place. That's Yangji Lin.
Thank you.
Well, I've moved him out quick there before you finish saying thank you. Well, Charles, that's us done for the season. Final thoughts?
My second season doing this is just, I love the battles. Love talking with the drivers. Everybody is just, enthusiastic about being here and doing these races. Just really love this series, and hoping for another good series next season. I think, it seems like there's a good group, good community here of some old regulars, as Yangshi would say. And I think that helps us broadcasters out because we get to know all these drivers a little better. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the future.
Well, good news is we don't have to wait too long. In a week's time here on Apex Racing TV, we have got the runoffs. Myself, Charles, and we'll be back. Same time, usual place. Looking forward to having you, but what a season it's been. To round out a season of Super Sundays here on Apex Racing TV. 2 weekend warriors, double the fun, double the action. I mean, even just half of one, that's enough for more than enough for one race. But fascinating it has been. From myself, Tim Cox, Charles Bashal, and Samina Kume. Thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you in a week's time for the Ray Esports Weekend Warriors runoff. See you then.